大家好，我叫Fu Kai. This is the Digital Textbook Project Chinese Character Studies. Today I'll be going after Yi. So this one meant jade, and the original pictographic form of it is a string of jade, like little beads or just ornaments. So if you ever go to an exhibit on like very ancient Chinese stuff, even back into like Stone Age, Neolithic Chinese stuff, they're still doing a lot with Jade. They really, really, really like Jade, and a lot of it stood the test of time, and it's still very nice to look at. And that's where this character comes from. Just strings, Jade on a string, and then Xuanjiezi from the Han uses it to mean Jade, and then also anything that's Jade-like, because they use love using Jade to describe other things that are beautiful or pretty, lustrous, anything nice to look at is like, oh, that's Jade-like. So modern day Jade, and then once again, beauty, beautiful, because it's a very, very pretty rock. It's probably China's favorite rock. And then you can kind of see here are some things that's used in. So it's in Yu Huang, which is the Jade Emperor, which if you ever read like Chinese mythology or read Taoism, Taoist texts, or any of like the folk religions in China, head honcho of heaven is the Yu Huang, the Jade Emperor. He's in charge of everybody. And then Yulanhua is a magnolia, which is a type of flower. So it's very flower. It's a jade-like flower. Once again, going back to them using jade to just be that's a pretty thing. And then Yimi is maize, so corn, but more specifically, the kind of like out here Midwest, you'd call it like Indian corn, where it's got the really nice or like gem corn or any of those varieties of corn, where instead of just being yellow and boring, it's got all the fancy colors. You see them around the fall. People use them as decoration. And I gotta agree, it is pretty jade-like, especially when they're dried, because the kernels get nice and shiny and pretty pretty. And then you can see here's some words that it's in. It's in Guo, uh, in the simplified version of it, because it's where the jade is, it's the surrounding thing, that's the country. And then it's also in E for a phonetic thing, but it's also pretty cool because it means rare treasure, which is pretty fitting when you're talking about jade, because that's a pretty rare, nice treasure. And then it's also in Ing, which is a gem's luster. So going back to shiny, pretty things for that one. And that's it. Here's my sources. 再见.